Welcome to StreetGangs.com SGTV. We're at Vroman's Bookstore in Pasadena, California, at Chris Blatchford's book signing on his new book called The Black Hand, which is a book about the Mexican Mafia. Through an extensive number of interviews with boxer Enriquez, he was able to write this book, only the second book ever published about the Mexican Mafia. And we're going to see if we can get an interview with him to find out what it was like, his journey publishing this book on the Mexican Mafia.
A couple of undercover LAPD officers actually videotaped a meeting where more than 1,000 gang members showed up. Many of them rivals who, under different circumstances, would have been shooting at each other. But now the Mexican Mafia was calling them all together and told them to stop the drive-by shootings against people of their own race, or La Raza. The Mafia wanted all of the gangsters working just for them, a well-armed army of 60,000 people.
In the very beginning, how open was he to talking to you about this project of yours?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, Rene and I had been corresponding to each other for a decade, usually just a letter at Christmas time. And it all stemmed from when I did a story about him, I think it was like 95, which I'd mentioned him probably 3 or 4 times in other stories that I did. And I got a call one day from his mother, who was furious with me that I was making her son look like this horrible gangster all the time. She said if you would write him a letter, you would find that he really is into talking to youth about not getting into the gangs and picking another way of life. So I wrote him this long 2-page letter, and thinking the last thing I really needed was some mafia soldier's mother to be mad at me. And he wrote me back a long, like 3-page letter, handwritten. And basically the gist of it was, I don't love the way you're portraying me, but I know it's just, your job, and I have no animosity towards you, but keep the lines of communication open. So we did. I always sent him a Christmas card or a letter, and he always sent me one back. And a couple times I sent him pictures, because he was not allowed in solitary confinement to have pictures of himself and his family. A lot of his family hadn't seen him in years, so I sent him some pictures that I lifted off a videotape and sent them to him on one occasion. And then when he dropped out, he told his handlers up at Pelican Bay that he wanted to do a book, and that he wanted me to do it because I'd written about him for years. And then it went off in my head that this guy, I think, always was sort of reaching out. And as I got to know him over 100 hours or more, I realized that he was looking for a way out even early on. I think he knew he'd made a huge mistake, although he did relish too in his mob reputation. There's no question of that. But he was an intelligent guy, and I think that he had a lot of regrets about the things he's done. And I think he wanted something on the record, that other people could read to see really where this life leads. And it doesn't lead to a good place.
Near the front of those killers from the Pepsi generation was a relatively young mafioso named Rene Enriquez, also known as Boxer. When he finally dropped out of the mob several years ago, he told investigators that he had personal knowledge of as many as 70 murders done by the mafia. He was doing 15 to life himself for killing 2 people on the streets of Los Angeles and nearly stabbing to death 2 others right inside the LA County Jail in broad daylight in front of crews of sheriff's deputies.
What initially prompted his fallout with the Mexican Mafia in the first place?
Well, I think it's a hard question to answer in like 20 or 30 seconds, but I think that his support base, I think with when the RICO trials, some of his mentors went away to federal prison for life, and they were taken off the street, and other friends that he knew in the Mafia were either getting killed or going to prison for life in prisons outside of California. He really felt that his power base was weakening. One of his old friends who he had been in business with at Pelican Bay was trying to kill him, and he was trying to kill him. And it just, as I said in the talk today, I think there were a lot of things that just made him what he called mob weary, and I think it's almost, somebody asked the question today about post-traumatic stress syndrome, and I think I think gangsters do go through that. I mean, they live a life where they're looking over their shoulder all the time. They see a lot of blood and a lot of stress, and they do get mob weary. And you'd be surprised the number of letters that I get from prison, from guys locked down for the rest of their life that are in their 40s and realize that they made a terrible, terrible mistake, that the way they lived. And that's what this book is really about, more than anything else. It's not about bashing the mafia as much as it is as a plea to other people, young kids, don't get involved in this way of life. It may seem cool. You may be getting laid and have a lot of bucks in your pocket from selling dope, but, when you're 40 and you're sitting in Pelican Bay and you got nothing else but blank walls to look at till the day you die, it's not a good choice.
I had done a number of stories about Rene Boxer Enriquez. I described him in those stories as a brutal, heroin-crazed mafia hitman on more than one occasion. And through a series of events that you will read about in The Black Hand, you will see how the two of us began to correspond with one another. Correspondence that was minimal, but lasted for a whole decade.
Now, a lot of people understand that most Hispanic gangs are somehow aligned with the Mexican Mafia, but Boxer was not just any ordinary Mexican Mafia guy. He was a high-ranking person. Can you speak a little bit about his position?
Well, I think, like he said, you really earn your way up in the mafia through the amount of blood that you shed. And he showed that in prison and out in the streets that really he was a cold-blooded killer. And that brought him up into what they call the upper echelon of the mafia. I mean, he was, in constant communication with the guys that we would call the heavy hitters, and he was one of the heavy hitters. It's interesting, the first interview I ever did, much more than a decade ago, with with a mafia associate and a Mexican mafia member, they agreed to talk to me about anything I wanted to talk about, except one thing. They would not talk about Boxer Enriquez. They were that afraid of him, that he was that feared even among the mafia, that two guys who were both killers in their own right wouldn't speak about him.
Now, a lot of people were wondering if you had threats, and I guess to a lot of people's surprise, that hasn't really been a significant issue with writing this book.
No, it really hasn't. The only calls I've had were from two former mafia guys, and they both liked the book. They thought it was very truthful, and they thought it was very powerful. Those were both guys that are mafia dropouts who have, had testified in cases, and they're both out on the street now after serving time. And they had no complaints about it. They thought it was the truth. And I really haven't had any overt threats from anybody on this. I've had other threats in the past from other criminal organizations I've done stories about, but in connection with this book, I really haven't had any. And I hope I don't get any. And I say, if I say in the prologue of the book, I address Mexican Mafia members, and I say to them, this isn't about bashing the mafia or anything, but it's like, I ask them, do they want their sons involved in this? I think people can lead a better life than this. And I think most of the mafia guys, the honest ones who are locked down in Pelican Bay or Florence, Colorado for the rest of their life, don't want their sons in this.
I think everybody will recognize how powerful the Mexican Mafia is, and they've been around for 40 years, but there's only been 2 published books on this, and to my surprise, why isn't there more work and more research into this organization when you see dozens of books on other types of criminal organizations?
Well, I think people have been afraid to write about it, frankly, and I think now that a few have been written, I think you're going to see more. I think my editor told me that he thought if this book did well, it would probably open the floodgates to a lot of stories, not just about the Mexican Mafia, but about modern-day gangsters that are prevalent all across the United States.
How often is it that a Mexican Mafia at this high status, whether it's 150 of them out there, actually end up debriefing and turning state's evidence?
Well, I think more debrief than turn state's evidence. I think that you need ongoing trials to be a witness. They've had 3 big trials here in the 90s. Even Rene, when he finally dropped out, I don't think there was initial interest because they'd already locked down a bunch of guys. So the timing has to be right. And I think a lot of these guys, even when they drop out of the mafia, they don't want to testify. They'll debrief and tell what they know, but they've got this code that you're not to be a rat, and it's hard for them after 30 years of living that way to all of a sudden testify against somebody and be a rat. That's like to them, in where they grew up, that's the worst thing you can be, you know.
Has Boxer ever testified in a case?
He has testified in one criminal case, and he's going to testify in another one, and those are the only two.
Well, congratulations on this book, and what's the next project for you on the horizon?
I think we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.